Hello, and welcome to Women at Work, Life Happens podcast. My name is Karen, and I am the founder of a women's networking group in Northern California. Please check us out at marinwomenatwork.com. And our goal, whether attending a meeting, collaborative social, or listening to a podcast, is to always educate, inspire, share, and most importantly, be authentic. So please enjoy today's topic. Be sure to check out all of our podcasts, as I am sure you will find relevance in each and every one of them. And check us out at marinwomenatwork.com. Enjoy. Bye for now. Hey, it's Karen, and welcome to Women at Work, Life Happens. Today's podcast is on franchising. I have met with Diane Pleuss. She is a franchise consultant. And the reason I reached out to Diane is I just think right now there's so much change in the universe, and all of us have, some have lost jobs, some have lost storefronts, but franchises could be an option for many people, and because it comes in all different investments and different styles of businesses. And so today is about educating our listeners on possibly a potential of a future career that they hadn't thought about, that has nothing to do with what you've done in the past, but it's an opportunity to own your own business and for your future. So Diane, why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the nit and gritty about franchises. How's that?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Karen. Many times people aren't aware that franchising can be an option. I think we grew up and we heard our parents say, get a good education, go to a good school, join a good company, and you'll be taken care of. And that no longer holds true. So many times people look at it and they get to a certain point in their life and they say, I've got skills, I've got some money to invest. I would rather build my own business, but maybe I don't have that big idea. And maybe a franchise would be interesting because they have the playbook, they have that formula or recipe that I could follow. They've figured things out. People have gone ahead. They've honed operations and systems. They've got all that training in place. Maybe that could be something to consider. So I am what's called a franchise business matchmaker. I match good people to good franchises based on the person's goals, skills, interests, investment level. So most of the time, we tend to think of franchising as French fries or fast food. And there's many, many other options out there. So if people have an open mind, we can look at things and we, first of all, start with what's important to that person. Some people want one unit or one location, if you will, and someone else might want to be that empire builder and have 10 units or 10 territories or locations. Someone might just want a business where they could be the owner-operator, and the next person says, oh, no, I'm used to managing a staff of 50. I'd like to be able to grow and scale a big business. So we listen carefully to what is important to that person, and then we match franchise companies that are available in their area where we think they'd be happy and successful, and help them through an investigation process so that at the end, they can make a sound decision, whether that's a yes or a no.
So when somebody first reaches out to you, what can they expect from that first interview?
We do have a process we go through, and it works well because franchising is very process-oriented. We start with a short 4-page online questionnaire that gives us some basics, and then we schedule a consultation call that is in-depth, and that call usually lasts an hour and a half to 2 hours, where we talk about goals, skills, that investment level, territory, the sales piece, many, many things. I take good notes, and then I check with companies that I think might be a good fit. We schedule another call. Then I present those companies to the person and coach and guide them through the investigation process. They'll be talking directly with the companies, learning about the training, the support, the IT platform, the advertising, the marketing, how are employees hired, all of those kinds of things through a sequence of calls or webinars. They'll go through what's called a franchise disclosure document, which is a legal document. They'll have the chance for what we call validation, where they get to talk to existing franchisees, and they can ask, so what was your background? How did you get started? How are you doing now? And ask all of those questions. So it should be pretty transparent. Usually the hardest question is, I've learned how all these other people have run their business, but you don't know how you would do. So that's where having the confidence and you look back on what you've accomplished, and hopefully you could say, well, Mary and Sue and Jane have all done this, and I'm no different. I should be able to follow directions, and I think I could be successful too with the training, support, and help in following the system.
Well, what I love about that, and what I want to encourage all listeners, is that starting a business, most of us don't have that kind of training. I mean, education, yes, or a lot of studying, but you're actually learning from people, individuals that also started out on the ground level in purchasing a franchise, and what they did right and what they did wrong. And that's a great foot in the door. Again, as an entrepreneur, it's a great foot in the door if I had somebody to tell me how it worked and what didn't work. It's just helps you hit the ground running. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to go back a little bit, and then we can come back to the education process. Also, the different types and the costs involved and stuff, like different types of franchises, and then also the costs involved. But what about right now when, there is so much uncertainty in the world? And if you can't answer this, I apologize again for putting you on the spot. But can people just call you and I don't know enough about franchising to fill out that 4-page online test? Can they brainstorm with you saying, either I have this amount of money or this is where I'm at in life, before they even start the process?
Sure, I'm always happy to have an initial phone call. People have questions. It's a little hard to understand. People go online and there's some helpful information and there's some misleading information. So
right.
I'm certainly very willing to have an initial conversation. And the questionnaire is not onerous. It's very basic. We know that getting started, people are willing to share a little bit of information. And that's why most of the information we get is from our consultation call, where we can talk one-on-one and have a conversation.
Okay, I was just curious because I know, again, so there's so much change going on in so many of our lives, and it would just be easy if you could have, and I agree, I did some research after first meeting with you, and it can be misleading or a little confusing, I should say.
It certainly can be. And before, when you were talking about getting started, sometimes when I work with people and they're very smart and they've been very successful, I'll ask them, so why do you want to do a franchise? Because I'm thinking you could probably do this all on your own. And they come back and they tell me, I want to get down the road further and faster. I want to have something I can sell at the end of this. And some of them have said, I thought about doing it, and my to-do list, there's too many unknowns, and they join a franchise, and I check in with them after training, and they say, oh my gosh, you should have seen the to-do list I had to do for pre-training. And here I thought that I could do something on my own. Oh my gosh, no, I couldn't. I'm so glad I went with this.
Yeah, well, again, and the knowledge of other franchise owners, that's priceless. That is absolutely priceless.
It is. And being able to talk to people directly, and there are people many times just like you that have a certain level of experience, and they said, I want to have more control, I want to have more flexibility, I want financial freedom, I want to grow an asset. Sometimes people want to build generational wealth and they want to be able to hand it down to family. So there's all kinds of reasons that people look at a franchise.
Now, do you work with them? I know they do the questionnaire, but do you work with them? Because I know it doesn't have everything to do with your past experience on how to best choose the franchise that would be right for them, and also probably for the area that they live in.
Sure, that's where this becomes a little bit of an art and a science. It's important that I know the franchise companies, the culture, their requirements. Sometimes I work with people and they're very experienced and they say, I want an emerging franchise company. I want to have a bigger voice. I want to leave a bigger impact. I've got all the experience. I want to leverage that. And other times I work with people who say, I don't care if I'm number 1,200. I want something that's very buttoned down. All the systems are working. And they're okay being a number, if you will. So again, we've got options to choose from. There's many companies on that spectrum, if you will.
Can you give us a couple examples? Like what would be like the less expensive to invest in, and then maybe in between, and then maybe on the other end, the higher end?
Sure. If we look at what we call service-based businesses, where you can either be the artisan or you can run it, again, as what we would call an executive model, where you're hiring the technicians or somewhere in between. So if we look at, for example, a senior care franchise, in that you would be employing caregivers, you would be hiring caregivers who would be going out and providing the care. So you would not be the caregiver, but you're running and managing the business. You're interfacing in the community. You're developing referral relationships, and you're building and scaling a business. That type of model, an executive model, would be something similar to, let's say, a residential cleaning business. And people look at that. People like that type of business because it's Monday through Friday, traditional business hours, it's recurring revenue, you don't have inventory. And so these business characteristics start appealing to the person, whether or not they like to clean, because they're not going to be the person who's going to be cleaning. They're going to be giving the estimates, hiring, managing the crews, and running the business and scaling the business. So those types of businesses, an average franchise fee is about $50,000. That's a one-time investment paid when agreements are signed. Somewhat the sweet spot there is between $40,000 to $60,000. Franchise fees can be as low as $10,000 or $15,000 and can go to $100,000 or more. But that 50 is a ballpark number. Mm-hmm. And then you need to have working capital. So a franchise company will also talk about total investment that would include the franchise fee and then money needed to go to training and to get started. So you might be able to start from a home office, or you might need to rent a small, rather inexpensive office, because in the examples that I just cited, customers aren't going to the office, only your employees are going to the office generally.
Well, what I love about you sharing all of that is even if you have a business plan as a small business owner, there's so many hidden fees and fees you don't include in this. And it sounds like that's already built in to your investment and you're prepared for that. So you're not starting blind like many small business owners. You're already prepared because you have so many people before you that have already done this.
Exactly. And you have access to all of those people and you can ask them questions. So if someone doesn't do well, and sometimes that happens, many times it's because they didn't ask the hard questions. Sometimes people simply fall in love with the business and it may not be the best business for them, but sometimes they don't want to hear that. And unfortunately, they may not have a good outcome.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the time frame because I know we're covering a lot in this, but I want somebody that's maybe lost their job again or maybe is looking for a new business because they don't want to go back to their previous career. I want to make sure we can cover as much as possible, and then they can go and not cover the details, but at least give them an idea of what it would be to own a franchise, even if they had never thought about it before. And then they can come back to you for details or, process it first and then come back to you. But like, what kind of time frame would we be looking at? Because I know there's probably a conversation and then somebody goes back home and thinks about it but once you make that decision, what time frame? And I know it would vary whether it's a brick and mortar or whether it's a home-based business. I understand that, but kind of like signing the papers, making the decision, just a general time frame.
It usually takes a person a month to two to do the franchise investigation, to learn all about the business, ask the questions, fully understand it, and be comfortable. So many times the last step is what's called a discovery day or a meet the team day, where if you like the company and they like you, they will invite you to this discovery day or meet the team day, which is that final step. And many times now they're being done virtually. Probably next year we'll go back to having them in person. And after that, then you make that decision, yes or no, if you want to go forward with them. Depending upon the type of business, if it's a service-based business, tutoring, home improvement, plumbing, electrical, window coverings, any, pool care, pet care, lawn maintenance, any of those types of things, you can look at the training schedule, and many of those companies will have training monthly. So you could sign agreements 1 month, you could go to training the next month or have pre-training in there, and then be able to start your business. If you're looking at something that's a brick and mortar, you would sign agreements, and then usually the real estate department will start working with you to find a location and help with negotiation, build out, and all of that. That usually takes about 9 to 12 months. So certainly one of the benefits now about looking at a franchise is some of the places that will be available for locations. Some of those rents we're expecting to go down, probably be able to negotiate better terms. From an employee standpoint, with the number of people that have been downsized, we have access to a great pool of talent. I think there's less competition now in the marketplace. And I think your message can get across clearer because, again, there's a little less noise. So surprisingly, it's a very good time to at least consider that option.
Well, and that's why I reached out to you because, again, I don't know anything about franchising, but I did think that this can give hope or it can give an option. And that's why I do think the timing is so important on this. So while we wrap things up, make sure, give us your contact information. So if anybody has any questions about this, and I know I did a search after talking to you, just a general search of what companies are available. And I know there's so much more than that and so diverse. So if I could tell the listeners anything, don't make a decision until you talk to Diane, because what you're seeing on the internet is not necessarily it's not the only information or even maybe the best information. So talk to Diane because there's many options and we all need hope and an opportunity given the current time. So how can we get a hold of you?
My email address is my first initial, then my last name. So that's D-P as in Peter, L-E-U-S-S as in Sam. So dpleuss@franchoice.com is my email address. You can look me up on LinkedIn under Diane Pleuss. And the company I'm associated with is FranChoice. So you can also go there. My direct office number is 925-673-0412. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, but I work nationally. I've placed people from Florida to New York to the Midwest, Texas, Oregon, Alaska, Hawaii.
I want that one. I don't care what it is. I want it. I'm
yes,
ready.
I've placed several people in Hawaii, and I've yet to visit them, and I need to do that.
I'm ready for different air. We're in Northern California where the smoke is killing us. All right. So thank you so much for your time. Also, if for some reason you did not catch Diane's information, you can always contact me at marinwomenatwork.com, and my email address is on there, and I can always link you back to Diane because I really want to make sure if anybody's interested, they can get a hold of you. So Diane, thank you so much. That was a whole lot of information in a short period of time, but I just appreciate you donating your time today because I just love this idea. I have several friends actually that own franchises and they've been very successful. And so that's why I think this may be a great opportunity for many in 2021 and moving forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. It's certainly an alternative. It's an option. And happy to chat with any of your folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Diane.